Hey YouTube, welcome back to the channel. Today we have a video going over the code signing process of the PowerApps Wrap project. This is a continuation of a previous video I put out, the PowerApps Wrap tutorial, so if you haven't watched that, go check that out. Big thing to note here for this video is there's two main requirements, and the first one is that you have to have a MacBook. The second one is that you have an Apple developer account and you're enrolled in the Apple developer program. So hopefully by the end of this video we can have the PowerApps Wrap project that we just created successfully code signed and deployed to an iPhone. So to start, we're going to go to the Apple developer portal. I have mine bookmarked, but I will leave a link in the description. And our first task here is to create an app ID. So we're going to go over to Certificates, IDs, and Profiles. Next, we're going to come here and click Identifiers on the left side here. We're going to click Register an App ID. We don't need to worry about any of this, just that App IDs is selected, and then we're going to click Continue again and continue for a third time. So the first thing we're going to go ahead and do is add a description. So we're just going to say PowerApps Wrap Project. And then over here on the bundle ID, this is going to be the bundle ID we created in the previous video. So we can go back to our PowerApps tab, go to Wrap, and we can see right here is our bundle ID that we're going to copy, and we're going to paste it in this field here. Next, we have to enable some capabilities, so we're going to scroll down and start by enabling the associated domains capability. Next, we're going to find the iCloud capability and turn that on as well. Then we're going to search for NFC tag reading and enable that. And the last one we're looking for is push notifications down here. So once we're all set with that, we're going to go ahead and click continue on this, and then we're going to click register. So now that we've got our app ID created, our next step is to generate a distribution certificate. So to create the distribution certificate, we're going to want to search for keychain access and open that up on our MacBook. So you can find it by opening up Finder or just typing in keychain access. So with keychain access open now, we're going to want to go up to the top left and click in keychain access and then certificate assistant, and then we're going to want to go down to request a certificate from a certificate authority, and we're going to click that one. So you're going to want to fill this information out and then click Save to Disk, and then I'll follow up after this step is complete. So now that we have the certificate created and on our desktop, we're going to want to go back to the Apple Developer Portal. And now that we're back here, we're going to go back to Certificates, IDs, and Profiles. And we're going to click Create a Certificate. So under Software here, we're going to pick the fourth option, iOS Distribution, App Store, and Ad Hoc, and then we're going to click Continue. And it's going to want you to upload the certificate we just created, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. And now that we have that uploaded, we're going to go ahead and click Continue. All right, now that we have that done, we're going to click on the Download button. So once that finishes downloading, you're going to want to double click that, and you're going to want to click Add. And for now, we're going to go back to the Developer Portal. All right, so our next step is to register a device through the portal, and this device is what we're going to use to install our IPA file on later. So to do this, we're going to go back to Certificates. We're going to click Devices, and we're going to click Register Device. So we're going to give our device a name, and we're just going to say my phone. Next, it's going to want the device ID, which I will not show in the video, but I am going to leave a link in the description if you're unsure about how to find that. It's relatively simple, and then we're going to click Continue. All right, so now we have our device registered, and again, this step is so that the developer could test the application out on their phone before they release that IPA file to App Center or use Intune to deploy this to end users' devices. So one of the last things we have to do is to create the iOS provisioning profile, so we're going to go back to Certificates, IDs, and Profiles, and we're going to go click Profiles this time and Generate Profile. So since this isn't a production app by any means, for distribution we're going to select Ad Hoc, but if this was a production app, we'd want to go down to App Store and use that as our distribution method. But in our case, this is just kind of a test app, so we don't have to worry about that. Now we're going to go ahead and click Continue. So now it's going to want the app ID that we created earlier in the video, so we're just going to click from the drop down and select it. And now we're going to go ahead and click Continue. And now it's going to want the certificate that we created earlier, so we can just click that and click Continue. And now it's going to look for the device or devices that you had registered. So in my case, I just did one, so we're going to click on that and continue. All right, so now we're going to give this profile a name, and we're just going to call ours Wrap Profile. And make sure you take note of this, so I'm just going to copy this, and we can click Generate. So now that our profile is generated, our next step is to download that. All right, so we've downloaded the provisioning profile. I just put it in our certificate folder for now, and all you're going to want to do is double click that, and that will open up Xcode. Make sure that you're logged into Xcode with your Apple ID. So to verify that we've installed the provisioning profile in Xcode, we can open up Spotlight Search and paste this path here, and you can see that we get provisioning profiles. So we can see that ours is installed. We can open it up a little bit, see Wrap Profile, that's the name, and there's all of our information. So now we can move on. All right, the last thing we're going to want to do is download our app from App Center so we can complete the code signing process. So we're back in our wrap demo app that we created in the previous video. We're going to click on it and we're going to click download, and it's going to download our file. So I'm going to move this to a folder quick and I'll be right back. Now that we have our file downloaded, we're just going to want to double click to unzip the file. And it's going to spit out a folder named after a bundle ID. So if we click into it, we can see all the content from the build process. This right here is a PowerShell script used to code sign. Per the documentation, they want you to have PowerShell for Mac, which you can certainly go ahead and download, but we're going to code sign a different way, and it'll still produce the same end result. First, we're going to want to click on this file to the left, and once we complete the code signing process, the IPA file, which is just an App Store file for iOS, is going to be released, and that's what we can put on our phone. So for this part, it is required that you sign into Xcode with the same account that you used for the Apple Developer Program, and make sure you do that before this step. But what we're going to do is right-click on this and click Open with Xcode. You can see all my test ones, but we're going to go back and click Distribute App. So for this, click Ad Hoc again. And we're going to go and click Next. So go ahead and pick your team from development. This should be created already for you. And we'll click Next. And we don't have to worry about this screen. We can skip through this and click Next as well. And for this part, it is important that we click Manual Manage Signing, and we'll click Next. So now this is where we select our certificate as well as our provisioning profile. So if we click into our certificate list, we can see iOS distribution. That's a certificate we created earlier, as well as a profile, wrap profile. And another way to validate that everything's correct at this point is to change one of the two. So if we change the distribution certificate to a different one, let's say the default one Apple created, we can see that it's not going to like that because the certificate doesn't match what's in the profile. So we'll go ahead and change it back and we'll click Next. So at 3 different points in this process, it's going to want you to enter your password to allow access to the keychain. So just type in your password at all 3 points and we should be good to go. So what we can see now, we have our successfully code signed app. What we want to do now is select Export. And this will just create a new folder based on the bundle ID. We'll go ahead and click Export and then hop in and take a look. All right, so now I've opened up the folder and we can see that we have an IPA file here, which is what we need to install to our device. So the next step is to plug in the device that you registered in the previous step, and I'll show you how to put this on the phone, and then we'll transfer over to the phone screen and take a look at the app. All right, so I've gone ahead and connected my phone, so we're going to want to open that in a new tab, and then we'll just expand that quickly. So to get this app on the phone, it's as simple as just dragging the IPA file right to the screen, and you'll see in a couple seconds it should start installing to our device down here. This usually takes under a minute. Looks like everything is installed, and now we're going to switch to our phone view. All right, now we're on the phone view and we can see that our wrap demo app has successfully installed and is now an icon on our phone. So if we click on into it, we can see there's the splash screen. Now we're on the welcome screen, and this is where, again, you'd probably put your company logo. So it's going to ask you to sign in. So we're going to go ahead and click sign in. I'm going to enter my credentials and then I will meet you back after that. So it's going to ask you to give it permission to send you push notifications. We'll click allow, and now we can see that we are successfully on our app. So we can close out, go back into it. So before we get to the end of the video, I do want to show off the multiple Canvas apps in one app feature. So if you watched the previous video, we made 2 apps to wrap up. The first one here is this landing page app, and we just have a simple launch command, and the target of the launch command is the web link of the submit form app. We're going to click submit new form, and we can see that it opens up the submit form screen app. And we can go back and forth between the two using the launch and the web link. So again, we've successfully packaged up 2 Canvas apps and put them natively on an iPhone. So before we end the video, one thing I do want to mention is that every time you make updates from here on out to your Canvas app, you don't have to repackage, rebuild, go through the code signing process, and then redeploy it. You can still update the Power Apps normally, file, save, publish, but it is Microsoft's recommendation that once every month or so, you go in and do distribute a new build of the app just to make sure that it's up to date. So thanks for watching the video, guys. I hope you found it helpful. Please like and subscribe below. Leave a comment if you have any questions about the process, and we'll see you in the next one.